Welcome to Money Talks. This is Dave Workman, and this podcast is brought to you by Workman Associates. Visit www.workmanassociates.com for information about the investment services, insurance, and financial planning we offer. Today's guest is Joe Stackhouse, whom I have some questions about, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting discussion because we're going to talk about scamming. Scamming particularly the elderly, and also picking a good password. Joe, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, so why don't we get into the crux of the discussion right away? Tell us a little bit about what you know about scamming of the elderly, scamming of anybody for that matter, what you've seen here even in Logansport, and maybe some ways to prevent.
Sure. As you said, elderly clients that I see are common targets of this. Other people as well, though. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's not very technical to fall for these type of scams, because they use scare tactics to scare people into thinking that they need to pay money for a service or because some other issue. And I can give you examples of many different types of scams and how they play out.
Okay, why don't you give us a couple of them, maybe some ones that you've heard about or actually been involved in.
Sure. So probably one of the most popular ones right now is getting a call that says they're from tech support or from Microsoft. They will sound like a technician, and they will tell you that your computer has a problem. And usually that's not the case, obviously. The whole bit is a lie just to get money out of the person on the other end of the phone from them. And many times they'll tell you that your Windows license has expired, or that they're seeing viruses coming from your computer and you have to fix it right now because you're harming other people. Good tip here is Microsoft never calls customers. And there's many different examples. Another one would be a call from the IRS. IRS typically, I'd say 99% of the time, does not call somebody. There are exceptions to the rule, but the IRS loves to send you letters. And if your address is not current with them, they don't really care if you don't get the letter, but they will not call you. And they'll say that your taxes for the past couple of years either have not added up or there's a problem and you need to pay a big sum of money. And people fall for these all the time.
So when you say there's scare tactics or Microsoft calls, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to get into your computer, access your computer, or are they trying to lock it up so you have to pay them? Or are they just wanting you to send them a check or a money order or something along those lines?
So we'll talk about the payment methods that these people accept here in a minute. But usually gist of it is they will have you go to a certain website which will allow them to remotely control your computer. They will connect and they will show you lots of things in your computer that you may not understand and are actually normal, such as error logs and stuff that's going wrong on your computer, but it's really nothing that you need to be worried about.
I see.
It'll look completely legit because it'll be like the Microsoft Windows Event Viewer, but what they're showing you typically is not an issue at all.
So, Joe, now where is your business located?
On 17th Street, just past Warner's Greenhouse there, on the corner of 17th and Smead.
I think that used to be Jim Bishop's old barber shop, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Bishop. What are some of the things that you do at your shop that the average computer user could use you for instead of outsourcing it and going somewhere else?
I would say, as far as the Logansport area, we probably do more repairs than any other shop around here. And the reason I say that is because we not only repair things like cell phone screens, tablet screens, we also do TVs. There's not very many people in this community that work on TVs anymore. It's kind of a lost art. We also do Macs. Windows PCs. I'm probably forgetting some stuff here. Oh, game consoles.
Okay.
We can do that.
Oh, so a TV. With the, I would imagine with the prices, how TVs have come down so much, it would have to be a relatively easy fix for it to be worthwhile for the individual to come in and get that TV fixed.
Yeah, there's a lot of repairs when it comes to TVs that we can just ask a couple questions and determine, is it worth fixing? A lot of times just the power supply, literally the board inside of the TV that provides power to it, goes out. And that can be a relatively cheap part, maybe around $50. But like you said, prices are coming down. I think you can get a 55-inch 4K TV now for $380.
Wow.
So it's really up to the consumer at that point if they wanted to fix it or not. And we're really good at being honest with customers if something is worth fixing or not.
Right. So we talked a little bit about scamming, and we can kind of jump into cybersecurity / picking a good password. Why don't you talk a little bit about maybe something as simple as picking a good password to help individuals protect their identity and their information?
Yeah, we see passwords day in, day out, obviously, working on different devices for customers. And it's kind of a running joke in my industry that you could probably guess somebody's password within 10 attempts. A lot of people use just password for their password, and not a good idea. We see it a lot, and you wouldn't believe the amount of information that somebody could even gain from something as simple as your eBay account, your Amazon account, and once they get into one account, that just gives them more information to get into others. So.
I see. So I've seen now that more and more sites are requiring multi-criteria, capitalized and non-capitalized letters, a number, some sort of sign like the @ sign or an exclamation point. Do you have any recommendations for people as far as where to keep their passwords or how to make sure that once they've got 5, 10, 15, 20 passwords, if they don't want to do the same password, how do they keep that?
Sure. There's a couple different solutions to this. Probably the easiest to implement is something like Firefox or Chrome's ability to save passwords behind your Google account. And this is a good idea in theory, but then think about if somebody gets your Google password. So you also need to enable two-factor authentication, which you'll see in a lot of different websites now, where you literally get a text code to your phone when you log in from a new device. So you have to authorize it. Now, that's not completely foolproof either. Some public targets, some important people have been targeted by hackers that have connections to cell phone companies, and they duplicate their SIM card and still get past that. But for the average user, it's usually more than enough.
Do you recommend identity theft insurance to people? Because it seems to me that with some of these large break-ins like Equifax, that there's so much personal information floating around out there that it's just going to be almost impossible not to get hacked.
Yeah, and even if you're doing best practices, that doesn't always mean that the companies that you give your personal information do. And even if they do have good security, there's been instances of insider hackers that maybe they're disgruntled with the company and they decide to take information with them when they go out the door.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's no 100% foolproof way, but picking a good password, using protections like two-factor authentication, programs like LastPass. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
It's a password manager that keeps track of your passwords. It also generates random passwords, which, in my opinion, is the best way to have your passwords, even though it's inconvenient. A lot of people will think, well, now I have to have LastPass installed and configured if I go to a new device or I don't know my password. Personally, that's the way all my passwords are. They're completely random. Letters, numbers, uppercase, symbols. I don't know what my passwords are. I couldn't tell you. I have a program that manages them, and hopefully I've secured it the best I can too. But that's the best way. It's that balance between security and convenience, and we deal with business customers all the time where we enable a policy, say they've got 10 computers and now everybody has to change their password every 6 months, and they're like, oh no, don't make us do that. And they're like, there's a reason.
Yeah.
There is, and still a lot of people opt for convenience.
Well, I tell you, Joe, I've appreciated you coming in here and talking. How long have you been working there?
So we've been open for 5 years now, I believe.
Wow.
Same location. But I've been doing this type of work since I was a teenager, so it's, yeah.
And you're on the corner of 17th
And Smead.
17th and Smead. And what are your business hours?
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 10 to 2.
10 to 2. Oh, that's convenient. Well, I tell you, I appreciate it. This is Dave Workman with Joe Stackhouse. And the name of your company is StackTech, isn't it? Because I've used it a number of times, but I just want to make sure it's StackTech, correct?
Yeah, it was kind of my last name.
No, I like it.
I like to do.
It only took me about 6 months to figure that out. But this is Dave Workman with Joe Stackhouse from StackTech, your local computer individual. And I can tell you, Joe has told me a couple of times this isn't worth it. You need to do something else instead of getting this fixed, or to look at a different venue. And so I've really appreciated that. And that's one of the reasons, not only I think this is a timely topic, but I think Joe's done a great job of ingratiating himself, at least to our business. And I would ask you folks to give you a try if you have some computer problems and need some help. And this podcast has been brought to you by Workman & Associates. Visit www.workmanassociates.com for information about the investment services, insurance, and financial planning we offer.